In the morning with our friend Andy Herman from Pack a Day Podcast. Andy, good morning. How are you?
Zabe, I am fantastic. Thanks as always for having me.
Yes, Merry Football Christmas. I have that giddiness. It's all out in front of us. Yes. I can feel the weather already in the fall, and we haven't even gotten to summer yet.
First preseason game, 86 days away. As crazy as that sounds, 86 days and it'll be here.
86. Who's counting?
Yeah.
And it'll be here before you know it. And the answer is, well, actually, it takes a while, but that's fine. We're going to enjoy our summer. So, first blush, Andy Herman, your thoughts on the schedule?
Yeah, so I, of course, as you guys probably expect, love to nerd out about the minutia of the schedule. So obviously we know not all schedules are created equally. So there's certain things that I immediately like to look for. Where's the bye week? Well, Green Bay has a perfect bye week at week 10, right smack dab in the middle of the season. Count that one as a check. Then I look for, are there any big road swings? Do you have to go all the way East Coast one week, all the way West Coast the following week? Or, of course, Green Bay having that game immediately following the London game. They have nothing like that. There's nothing like the one year where they went all the way to New England and then all the way to LA. No stretch like that. Then I look at any big 3-game road stretches. Nope. No 3-game road trip. The worst they have is a 2-game road trip. And of course, that's not till the end of the season when they go to Detroit and to Seattle. And even that's buffered by the fact that that Seattle game has a baked in mini bye week with the Packers playing against the Lions the Thursday the week before. So that looks fantastic. I also look at, which is super nerdy, like the rest advantages and disadvantages. Well, they get a 2-day rest advantage against the Colts because they're coming off the Brazil week. They get a 7-day rest advantage against the Bears because they're coming off a bye week. They get a 3-day rest advantage like we talked about against Seattle. And there's only 2 games where they have a disadvantage. Vikings because of Monday Night Football, and then the Bears at the very end of the season who play Thursday Night Football the week before. So I know there's all the people are looking at when they play, who they play on what dates. Me, I'm looking at all the stuff where Green Bay can gain advantages. And for me, they kind of got every single advantage they could possibly want looking at this schedule for how the schedule makers actually put it together.
That's a great breakdown from a football standpoint. That's a football analysis.
Oh, yeah.
There's a separate track, as you know, Andy, that's completely different, which is purely a fan analysis.
Yep.
How does the schedule work for me and my preferences as a fan? And I went through some of that with the boys. We all did earlier in the show. When you look at it through fan glasses, what do you like? What don't you like?
Yeah, I think, late in the season, you kind of want some of those warm weather teams coming to the Packers in December and January. You look at their December schedule. They go on the road to Detroit, on the road to Seattle, on the road to Minnesota. They do get New Orleans, which is a warm weather team, in Green Bay on Monday night, December 23rd. But then they get a cold weather team in January in their only January game playing against Chicago. So you would have liked to have seen maybe Houston, maybe the Cardinals, maybe a couple of those teams. They do at least get Miami on November 28th. So it's a little bit later. So you would have liked maybe the schedule packed with a little bit more home games later in the season. That's certainly one thing I look at. Personally, I can't believe Texans-Packers is a noon game. I thought for sure that would be a big primetime game. But yeah, I think overall, this feels like a pretty solid schedule for Green Bay, one that they can navigate. I think a couple stretches in the middle of the season when they have Houston at Jacksonville, which is always a tough place for them to play for some reason, and then Detroit at home. I think that's the first 3-game stretch that's really tough. And then following it up after the bye with at Chicago, San Francisco, and Miami, and like a 12, 13-day stretch. I think those are going to be the 2 that are really, really intriguing to me.
Andy, we did a quick overview. Zabe has the Packers with 12 wins. Me and Josh have them with 11 wins. Real quick, obviously, it's May 16th. We don't know who's going to be healthy, who's playing what. But when you do a quick overview, where do you have this team based on the way the schedule plays? Because it is favorable.
Yeah, I think 11-6 is right about exactly where I had it as well. I would certainly love 12-5. I'd love even better than that. And I think they have every right to go out and earn those games. I think the fact that they get that extra home game this year is going to be super advantageous. One of their road games is going to be a Brazil game, which is going to be, I think, predominantly Packer fans. The Rams game in LA, I would expect to at least be almost like a neutral site game. Even that game in Tennessee, in the past, Packer fans have traveled very well to that Tennessee stadium. There's not a lot of like true road games where it's going to to be like deafening, maddening noise. I think that all plays out very well for Green Bay. We talked about some of those other advantages. Yeah, there's some tough stretches on this one. I'm really excited to see how Green Bay deals with having expectations. This team had no expectations last year, and all of a sudden, like, we're seeing experts say Super Bowl and Jordan Love MVP. That's a big jump in a 1 year period of time, but I think they're going to navigate it. I love this roster, and I think they have enough depth to go 11-6, 12-5.
I targeted the 2 games, Jacksonville and Tennessee, as the most attractive road trips for Packer fans, and they couldn't have fallen in a better spot. The disaster would have been, I think we can all agree, Jacksonville like in week 2. That's a hot summer game if it's there.
Mm-hmm.
And Tennessee in December could be bruisingly cold and wet.
Yeah.
40 degrees, not so good. So that worked out good. I do like, Andy, that they get this international game out of the way at the front end so it doesn't disrupt the rhythm of the season. That's huge right there. Does the Thursday to Thursday bother you from Thanksgiving night to the following Thursday on Amazon Prime?
I actually love it because, first of all, when you have a Thursday road game, those are brutal. And Green Bay has a Thursday road game going to Detroit, but they don't have your normal short rest period like they would in any other Thursday road game. They buffer it with having that Miami Dolphins game the week before. So Miami's the one at the disadvantage coming on a short week to Green Bay on that that Thanksgiving Thursday game. And then Green Bay gets their normal set of rest before having to go on the road for that Thursday game. And then again, they get that mini bye week baked in prior to having to go to Seattle on the road all the way to the West Coast. So even that kind of played out well for Green Bay, whereas normally in the middle of the season, Thursday road game to Detroit, even though it's not a big travel, those are tough turnarounds, and they don't have that this time.
Andy, real quick, when you look at the schedule and overall how it plays out, like, don't you like to see a little toughness in a schedule to kind of find out about your team, some grit? Like, I don't see that. You talk about how great it is. Normally the travel to London and back, and you still got to find a way to win. Like, as a coaching staff, as a player, even though you don't love that, when you're in the season, you do, because you find out about yourself. This schedule doesn't really give them any of that, the way I looked through it early on here.
Yeah, I think there's that aspect. I do think, again, those 2-3 game stretches in the middle of the season are what's going to be really telling for Green Bay. And I think that's kind of where you want it. I think that beginning of the season is sort of everyone's ramp up period. Nobody's really playing guys in the preseason anymore. I'm not saying Philly, Indianapolis, those games are going to be easy, but I think you get some winnable games against Indianapolis, Tennessee, Minnesota, Arizona, hopefully a few of those. And then at the end of the season, you've got a 4-game stretch, I think, against Seattle, New Orleans, Minnesota, and Chicago, where if you need to pick up 3-4 wins to get in the playoffs, you at least have a puncher's chance against those 4 teams. But you're going to get challenged in the middle of the season. You're going to find out who you are as a team in the middle of that season with that Houston, Jacksonville, Detroit, Chicago, San Francisco, Miami, Detroit stretch. And I think that's where they're really going to hopefully hone in on who they are, really get that challenge, and then correct anything as the rest of the season goes on, and then hopefully get ready for the playoffs.
Andy, a lot of people were looking at the schedule and pointing out that the gold package games are the divisional games. Started the whole debate back up about green package, gold package. A lot of green package fans getting upset about that. Your thoughts on that whole debate and how the schedule laid out for the gold package games?
Yeah, so I am a green package season ticket holder. I have been for a while. And for me, and I can only speak for myself, I've seen the Bears. I have seen the Vikings. I have seen the Lions on numerous occasions. I love the fact that as a green ticket holder, I get the Cardinals, I get the Texans, I get the Colts. I get some different teams coming to Green Bay. I get teams that I don't get to see quite as often. So it wouldn't bother me, but I do understand that there are certain Packer fans that those are the rivalry games. Those are the division games. They count for more. And you want those games to be the games that you get to see or that are in your ticket package, or for those that are trying to sell, whatever it might be. So I understand the debate. I know some people are upset saying a lot of the gold package ticket holders are maybe a little bit more apt to sell their tickets. I think the good thing here is that Vikings game is a noon game on a Sunday. That Lions game is 3:25 on a Sunday. I think sometimes when we see more of those tickets sold, it's this Thursday night games, the Sunday night games, the Monday night games, where it's tougher for the Milwaukee fans to travel. So unless that Chicago game in the final game of the season ends up being a night game, hopefully we see a lot of Packer fans and not a lot of opposing teams fans at those games.
I suggested trying to dissolve this rift, Andy, between the green and gold, because it's a needless rift in Packer Nation. And I said that my first blush idea, I don't know if it's workable, would be to allow Packer ticket holders to hop across the fence and swap out their games with willing Packer fellow gold or green package members with no fees, no friction, no hassle, easy peasy. So it's just melted together. What would you say as a ticket holder, and what is workable if I were to try that?
I can't tell you how much I love that idea, because there are times where, for whatever reason, there are games that I just can't get to, and I or potentially would love a Milwaukee season ticket holder game. And sometimes I'm holding a premium green ticket holder game and I just want the other date. And I'm sure somebody would love my tickets that I have. And I'm sure they would love to get rid of the tickets they have, because maybe it is a Sunday, Monday, Thursday night game. So if Packers.com had an easy ability to post your tickets for trades with, again, like you said, willing Packer fans, where you can just trade them out. No fees, no nothing.
Don't make it a hassle, and make sure it all stays in house.
Exactly. Because as soon as I put them on the market, I'm whether it's on, Craigslist or whatever I'm selling them, any ticket sites, it goes up for everyone. So if you go to, I don't think as many people, Lions fans, Bears fans, are going to Packers.com. And certainly, again, you have to be a season ticket holder in order to go in and swap the tickets. There'd be a million easy ways to do it. I love that idea, Czabe.
Okay. Well, probably won't ever happen then. My great ideas don't happen. Thanksgiving at home. Your thoughts on that? You ready to work Thanksgiving night?
Yeah, I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be a great atmosphere. Hopefully everyone gets their turkey time during the day. Hopefully this year, when Jordan Love goes out and performs well, he actually gets some turkey on Thanksgiving, unlike last year, Turkey Gate. But yeah, I think it's going to be a ton of fun. I'm excited to be at that game. I'm excited to see the crowd. I think that's going to have a big game feel, playing against the Dolphins at Lambeau Field on Thursday Night Football. And you just sort of get all the tradition of Lambeau Field late season football on Thanksgiving. I know it's only, I think, their third in the history of the franchise that they've played at home on Thanksgiving, but I'm super excited for that one.
And a quick question here. I had a 4-game losing streak, and the people told me I was nuts. And I say the people talking text line are caller. I get it. However, last 2 years, there's been stretches where the sky has been falling for this team. I think we're going to go through that again. I just think it's the NFL. I think that's kind of the way it plays out. Am I nuts to think that there's a 4-game losing streak possibility within this schedule?
I would love to think, one, that you are nuts. I'd love to think, number two, that the Packers have learned.
So it's not that hard to think that, but go ahead.
I would love to think that the Packers have learned from some of those issues over the past couple seasons and have hopefully found ways to turn that around quicker. I remember in LaFleur's first couple seasons, first 3, I think he never lost back-to-back games. It was like they never lost 2 in a row. Now we have seen some of that adversity. My other hope here too is that the depth of this team is stronger than it's been in the past. And obviously it would be much tougher to recover from a Jordan Love sort of injury, but any other injury, I do think they have the ability and the depth to kind of plug and play guys as needed, and hopefully not have that 3, 4, 5 game losing streak like they have in some of these more recent seasons. So I'm curious, what was your 4-game losing streak that you had?
I had them losing at Detroit at home. I had them losing at Chicago, San Fran, and then Miami.
And I mean, I think the thing you like there about that stretch, at least, even though that I think that is a very tough stretch, especially Bears after the bye week, I think you've got 3 of those 4 at home, the bye week in the middle. Again, I think everything you look at from how this schedule stacked up, it gives Green Bay some baked in advantages to hopefully, again, not have that big losing streak in there.
Yeah. And for the record, Butchie, they weren't saying you were nuts. They were calling you stupid.
Okay.
A moron who didn't know football and wishing you would die.
That's different.
Yeah, all 3 of those did happen this morning. Yeah.
Nuts different. Was not really in there per se, but there was a lot of hate for you because you dared to say that, they were going to have a 4-game losing streak. The NFL's hard, as you know, Andy. It's full of professional teams. I'm just so intrigued that they don't catch Caleb until November 17th. If they catch him, there's no guarantees.
Yeah. It's going to be fun. I can't wait. There's so much Stroud, Caleb Williams, JJ McCarthy. I'm very, very excited about this schedule.
Yeah. All right. Good stuff. Pack-A-Day podcast. Absolutely essential for any Packer fan. Andy's a psycho. He puts one out every day. That's why it's called Pack-A-Day podcast. It's good stuff. Thank you, my friend, for joining us. We'll talk again soon.
You guys are the best. Thanks so much.